Tonight, what I want to do is be really quick and be honest with you. I was driving from Orlando to Gainesville tonight and hit traffic coming through Orlando. To be honest with you, this is what I started thinking. Why am I driving to Gainesville to talk for 15 minutes? I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. I'm hungry, and gas is not cheap. Why am I driving to Gainesville? And I think God hit me with a 2x4 because the message you're about to hear wasn't the original message prepared. And when I was driving in my car, 1 Kings 18 came to mind. And we're going to spend some time just reading that tonight. And what I want you guys to ask yourselves is this. Why are we here? Like, really, why are we here? We've got 3 bands that like to sing songs about Jesus. We've got a couple people who like to stand up front and raise their hands and jump around. And we've got cool lighting and awesome hands up on the screen. But what are we doing? Really, what are we doing? We've got a couple churches here. That's awesome. But why are you here? Because to be honest, when I read the Bible, and when I look around the world, what I see is a God who's a lot bigger than what I've experienced in this room. Because we started off really great, jumping around, praising God, and then about 2 hours into it, hands start dropping a little bit, and people start taking seats, and we start talking to each other. And adults, you guys are really into it, and now you're sitting back relaxing. I don't know about you, but my God's a little bit more powerful than that. And what I want to do is look at 1 Kings 18, because what I see here in the Bible is something that I think we miss out on. So, I know you don't have a Bible, but I'm just going to read it. Give you some background. Basically, there's this guy named Elijah. He's a prophet, okay? And he's basically living in a place that hates people of God. And there's a king named Ahab, and God comes to Elijah, and Elijah's the only prophet, the only follower of God in this area. And he says, hey, Elijah, these guys have been searching for you because they want to kill you. I want you to go walk up to the king and tell him what's up. Now, also what's interesting about this area is that they had been in a famine for a really long time. And can I be really honest with you for a minute? We are in a spiritual famine here in the United States of America. And in Gainesville, we're in a spiritual famine. And where I am in Orlando, there's spiritual famine. And in our churches, there's spiritual famine. And in this room, there's spiritual famine. So I want to know, how does God address it? And what are we doing? And how are we being active in fixing some of the issues that we have? So let's read together. Then Elijah said to the people, he's talking to the prophets of Baal, I am the only remaining prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us. They are to place it on the wood, but not light the fire. I will prepare the other bull and place it on the wood, but not light the fire. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of Yahweh, the God who answers the fire. He is God. So for you guys to realize, this is what's going on. Okay, we've got Elijah, one dude, 450 prophets of Baal, 400 prophets of Asherah, and 2 other religions. They're all coming up to this mountain called Carmel. There's 850 guys, and then there's Elijah. And he looks at them and says, hey, how about this? You guys do your thing over there, I'll do my thing over here, and let's see which God's really God. And all the people answered, that sounds good. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, since you are so numerous, choose for yourselves 1 bull and prepare it first, then call on the name of your God, but don't light the fire. Verse 26. So they took the bull that he gave them, prepared it, and called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, Baal, answer us. But there was no sound, no one answered. Then they did their lame dance around the altar they had made. At noon, Elijah mocked them. He said, shout loudly, for he's God. Maybe he's thinking it over. Maybe he's wandered away, or maybe he's on the road. Perhaps he's sleeping and will wake up. One of my favorite translations says this: Elijah was mocking them, and he basically said, maybe he's taking a dookie right now and he can't hear you. That's what Elijah's doing. Now, time out for a minute. If I'm the one dude who everybody wants to kill, and there's 850 people doing their whole little worship thing over there, I don't think I'd be saying these things. For some reason, Elijah does. So these guys have been going at it all morning. It's noon, and Elijah starts making fun of them. They shouted loudly, and cut themselves with knives and spears according to their custom, until blood gushed out on them. All afternoon they kept on raving until the offering of the evening sacrifice, but there was no sound, no one answered, no one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come near me." So all the people approached him. Then he repaired the Lord's altar that had been torn down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, "Israel will be your name." And he built an altar with the stones in the name of Yahweh. Then he made a trench around the altar large enough to hold about 4 gallons. Next, he arranged the wood, cut up the bull, and placed it on the wood. He said, "Fill 4 water pots with water and pour it on the offering to be burned and on the wood." So time out. The goal is we need to have one of these bulls be on fire, okay? And what Elijah does is, hey, why don't you guys pour 4 buckets where my bull is, and let's see what happens. So he puts water where there's supposed to be fire. Not the smartest idea. Then he said a second time, and they did it a second time. And then he said a third time, and they did it a third time. So the water ran all around the altar, and he even filled the trench with water. At the time for offering the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet approached the altar and said, "Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, today let it be known that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant, and that in your word I have done all these things. Answer me, Lord. Answer me so that this people will know that you, Yahweh, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back." Then Yahweh's fire fell and consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell face down and said, "Yahweh, He is God. Yahweh, He is God." My question for you tonight is this. As we've sang a whole lot of songs, and we've heard somebody preach, and now you're hearing me. And my question is when you walk out of here tonight, will you have said, "That was a good worship service because the lighting was good," or "That was a good worship service because the band sounded great," or "That was a good worship service because the pastor was funny"? I have a question. Has God shown up yet tonight? Has He? Because my God is a God who brings fire to wood that's drenched in water multiple times. My God is a God who changes lives. What God are we worshiping? And to be honest with you, the reason why we don't see that kind of stuff happen, the reason why we don't see healings, the reason why we don't see people laying their lives down for the gospel here in America, here in Gainesville, the reason why your unsaved friends are not here right now, and it's a bunch of Christians huddling around singing about Jesus, is because of this. You do not know your God. To be honest, we look a lot more like the prophets of Baal than we do like Elijah tonight. To be really honest with you, we're really good at putting on a good worship service. We're really good at singing songs. We're really good at doing this for a long time. The Word says that the prophets of Baal were doing this from morning through noon. And they were dancing, and they were jumping, and they were praising. But guess what? They were praising the wrong God. And my question is, which God are you praising? Because to be honest, a lot of us can raise our hands and sing some songs. A lot of us can bow our knees. A lot of us can do a lot of things that look good on the outside. A lot of us can do the things that we talked about in Psalms. But here's my question. When you walk through the door, is your life changed? From the inside out is what we call tonight. From the inside out, worship is a lifestyle. And to be honest, we're a lot of people who are worshiping with one foot here in the church, and another foot worshiping the poles of Asherah. And so you guys know what an Asherah pole is? The prophets of Asherah? The Asherah pole were a bunch of idols, essentially, that were created, that people would go to, and that's what they worshipped. It was sexual, it involved money, and it involved pleasure. And tonight, we've got a whole lot of people here who've been worshiping Asherah, and have decided tonight they're going to raise their hands.